And welcome to the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Today, we're going to be talking about marketing and advertising with Lauren Davenport of the Symphony Agency, and learn more at symphonyagency.com. So, Lauren, welcome to the program today.
Thank you, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
So first off, give me the mission and vision and the background of the company Symphony.
Sure. So we are a digital advertising agency. Back when you had to have a college email address to be on Facebook, I happened to fall into the right place at the right time.
I don't even remember that. Of course, I didn't get in. I'm always a latecomer to all these trends, and so I didn't get on Facebook till like 2009 or 2010, even around there. It was a
little bit before that.
Okay, all right.
So they released, Facebook originally was from Harvard.
Okay.
And they started releasing it to different schools. I was at Middle Tennessee State University, and I believe we got it around 2007.
Okay.
So when all of that started happening, MySpace was still really big back then, of course.
Yeah.
But I was in school for marketing and journalism. And so I talked a little bar and restaurant into letting me run their social network marketing.
Okay.
And ran their Facebook, their MySpace page, and it just exploded.
So Facebook was something, I knew it was something local within Harvard, but so it was designed to be released within just the educational system in the beginning?
Absolutely.
And so it went to other schools? See, I don't know the full history of this. So it came to your school, and there was an opportunity for you that opened up, for you to begin to manage, social media, and you had no idea really what it was going to become at that time, right?
No. I mean, this was when they didn't even have business pages back then. Bars, restaurants, they all had just regular pages like we all do. So it was a completely different market.
And so how do you explain something to somebody when they don't even know what it is that you're doing for them? I guess that's kind of the boat that you're in, right? Let me manage your social media marketing. You're like, I don't even know I don't know what this is.
Well, really, back then, they were mostly like you weren't getting paid to do it. They were at the little bar that I was working at. They were actually paying a girl like $10 an hour to do it, and I told them, look, she's really bad at this. Stop paying her. If you'll sign my internship paperwork, I'll do it for free.
Okay.
So that was the beginning of what became our company.
Okay.
Today we're a team of 20 plus. We are a multi-million-dollar ad agency, and we do everything from social media to large media buys, website development. We have an in-house dev crew. So we're full service at this point, but that was our origins.
Incredible. And so you went to school for marketing and advertising. You've come out, you've built a successful business, very young also, and so an incredible success story at such a young age is, it always, makes me happy to see, success in our millennial generation.
Thank
and
you.
Everything. And so how far did Facebook get throughout the educational system before it blew up and became a national product? How many different colleges did it get released at? Did you know?
That's a great question. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
People just saw the opportunity and said, listen, you need to take this outside of the educational system. But at that time, MySpace was the Facebook of everything.
Oh,
and I remember being on MySpace and thinking, oh wow, this is pretty cool and everything.
Sparkly glitter graphics, all the good stuff. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I always often wonder about who's running MySpace, that they blew that so badly that nobody even has a MySpace account anymore. And
yeah.
It's out there, right? But it's like a musical platform now. I don't even.
Maybe.
I deleted my account many years ago, but I mean, it was at the forefront of social media marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
But Facebook came on the scene, and I remember I was a late buy-in to Facebook because I thought the name was stupid. I thought Facebook, that just sounds dumb. Why am I going to go on this site called Facebook? And like I said, it wasn't for a couple of years before I began to get on there. And like I said, I was in my young 30s at the time when that came onto the scene and everything.
Sure.
So all right, let's talk about the development of your company. How long you got out of school? How long before you were able to turn the social media part, the Facebook area of your business, into profits?
Well, after I graduated, by that point, people had heard about what I was doing in the community. So now I was actually getting paid to do it. Wonderful. But I was working for magazines, I was working for attorneys, I was working for doctors, running not only just their social media marketing, but at that point, I was starting to learn, HTML and CSS and figuring out the website and Photoshop and how do you design a flyer to hand out. So I was doing a little bit of everything. Problem with doing a little bit of everything is you never end up really being great at anything, and I wasn't really comfortable with that. So I decided that I wanted to build an agency, build a team of people who could be really great at their individual specialties. But when you start a company in college, everybody wants to continue to forever pay you a college kid's salary. So wasn't able to really build a team on the prices that I was making in
But you stuck it out and
Nashville.
finished college? You didn't leave college for the business? Okay.
I finished school and continued doing the consulting thing for about a year. But when I decided I wanted to build a team, I realized that I was probably going to need to move somewhere that nobody knew how old I was or that I just graduated. And I looked around the country for somewhere that had about 200,000 people. Enough, but not so many that you get lost. And then a higher ratio of locally owned businesses to large corporations, so I could actually reach the people who can make a decision. And St. Petersburg, the Tampa Bay area, hit the map, touted the sunniest city in the country and a beach. I didn't know anybody, but packed my bags and headed down.
I love how you thought about this analytically, because so many people your age wouldn't have been thinking, along the lines of demographics and, age and all that stuff. And, it's been, a smart move for you coming down to St. Petersburg, just yourself. And now you've grown it into a team of, 20 plus and a tremendous staff. I know several of them, just some great talent that you have on your team. When you got to St. Petersburg, though, you were still just by yourself, correct? You still, you still had to go out there and dig up clients. So what got you off the ground? Was there like a big score that you had early on, a big client that came in, or was it just a bunch of nickels and dimes that kind of came together?
It kind of started as a bunch of nickels and dimes. So I was lucky to have some of my Nashville clients, which is where I'm originally from, who stayed on board with me when I moved down here, just working remotely for them. So when I got down here, I literally hit the streets, was doing every single networking thing that I could possibly find, meeting as many people as possible, and seeing how I could help.
Right.
So I landed a couple small clients here and there, local businesses, and we just blew it out of the water for them, and same word of mouth started traveling, and that's how we grew.
Now you mentioned, when you were in Tennessee, that being a college kid, being young was a difficult, obstacle to overcome. Did you face that same type of discrimination down here, age discrimination in that business? Because advertising and marketing, I think of just these old, established, firms that have these big accounts, and you got these, people that have just been there for ages that just know this business inside and out, and they've got all those connections. Did you face that same type of obstacle in St. Petersburg?
Well, in some ways, yes. I got smart and had a good mentor tell me when I first moved down here, I decided that I was going to look absolutely as professional as I possibly could. So I dyed my hair significantly darker and got a whole bunch of outfits that made me look kind of like an attorney. So everybody thought that I was in my 30s and just started presenting myself extraordinarily professionally. I knew my stuff and it was such a new industry that there weren't many people who had the knowledge and experience that I did, so I pulled it off pretty well. But it was a little bit of fake it till you make it.
So what were your initial services? Social media? Did you help them with billboards and television spots? And did you run the full gamut? And what about funding these types of operations? Did you have any type of backing behind this?
So when we first started, and really our goal has always been from day one to help the companies that we're working with grow. That's the thing that makes me really get excited. My mom tells a story when I was a kid that we did a talent show. I was probably 5 years old. And she said, I got off the stage after the talent show and told her, I just love the way it feels when the spotlight hits me. And she thought I was crazy. But it's not so much for me, but we get to watch the companies that we work with watch that spotlight hit these amazing things that they have done through digital in new ways. So it takes these companies who have incredible services, they've grown mostly off of word of mouth, and the digital realm all of a sudden gives them mass exposure for budgets that aren't nearly as painful as your traditional advertising.
Right.
So we do help clients today with, large ad buys, billboards, that type of thing, but it's always all about tracking it to see what your return on investment is.
Yeah.
With the way you can track marketing and advertising these days, if you don't know what your cost per lead is, then you really don't have any idea where your money is being wasted. So a lot of the work that we do now is is mostly digital with some supplementary traditional stuff, simply because the cost per lead is so much lower.
Right, and something I dabble with. I like to know a little bit about everything, and I'm starting to get into more social media marketing and Google Ads and studying all that stuff. But it is overwhelming, and I should come to a professional, such as yourself, and to better understand this than try to get into the industry and understand myself. Because you're right, you don't know where your money is going with these costs per clicks. And I've had so many interviews on this program. One person will tout Google Ads, one person will talk Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. I don't really know. I mean, does it matter what industry that you're in or what your product is as to what platform you should be using?
Sure, but at the end of the day, it's really easy to select a platform and say, oh, we should do this. But it's like picking up a hammer before you've put a foundation down for a home. So it's really more about, what are your business goals? What are you trying to achieve? Do you need new lead generation? Right. How fast do you need that lead generation? How many new leads do you need? Answering those types of questions and then integrating, okay, these are my products and services. Where is my target market? Who are they? What is the message that I'm going to share with them? All of those factors need to be looked at and reviewed before you ever start saying, okay, let's run a Facebook ad campaign or LinkedIn or whatever.
And do you get into SEO, search engine optimization, for sites too, or is that outside of your realm? So you're doing the SEO? That's another area that I've been spending a lot of time. I'm the type of person where I just like to know everything. I've been building a new site, I've been studying SEO and stuff, and I'm just that type of person. When I was in school and I had my first car, when it broke down, I was out there trying to fix the thing. It's just the way I am. My mind works that way. But in this next segment, though, I want to get into you with some of the basics of SEO, because, like I said, I'm working on that with my own site right now, and tell you a little bit about the project that I've got going on. So when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more with Lauren Davenport of the Symphony Agency, a full-service marketing and advertising firm based here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Learn more at symphonyagency.com or give her a call at 727-343-3970, 727-343-3970. You're listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Welcome back to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. New episodes air each weekday morning at 9 a.m. on thatbusinessnetwork.com and then made available on demand on iTunes. Our guest today is Lauren Davenport of the Symphony Agency. Learn more at symphonyagency.com. And they are a full-service advertising and digital marketing firm with over 20 people based in St. Petersburg. A lot of different clients, a lot of great success coming out of this company. And Lauren has been on my program a number of times and always love talking to her about the success of her business. Now, Lauren, in that last segment, I was talking a little bit about this new site that I'm developing, and SEO is something that, I'm reading about, I'm studying it, and it's overwhelming. And, getting found is the thing. If you can get found, if you can get on Google page one for some keywords, you're going to get leads. I mean, whatever search term I type, I usually skip past the ads. I don't like the ads. And then I go down to the organic thing that comes up first. And so as I begin to develop this new site, my old site, Tampa Bay Radio, it was a hodgepodge of a site. It wasn't mobile friendly. It wasn't put together well. But as I built this one, I've focused greatly on, mobile, efficiency, desktop efficiency, making it look good on both platforms. I've began to, dabble with Google Webmasters, paying attention to the analytics. But what are some of the basics? How do I get found? How do I know what keywords to compete for out there?
Sure. Well, first part. So one of the things that you want to be wary of is thinking about search engine optimization only in the terms of keywords. So 5 years ago, you could go in and there were a whole lot of ways that you could kind of game the system for Google and the other search engines. You could add, a whole bunch of keywords, let's say about real estate, for example.
Like I could put Lady Gaga stuff all over my site.
All over it.
Which is irrelevant, but it would trick the search engines. And I've always wondered about that.
Right. So the search engines got smart. Google grew up, and now they're constantly changing the algorithm, because you have to think about it. So what would happen if you went to Google today, you typed something in, and got content that was completely different than what you searched?
I wouldn't use Google anymore.
You wouldn't use Google anymore, right? And so because of that, Google's business is dependent upon creating the very best, fastest search results possible, so you'll use them so that they can get paid on their ads.
Right.
So because of that, they've advanced this algorithm, and they continue to advance this algorithm on a daily basis, so that it's more about the end user and what they need than it is about the actual website where you're going to be performing that SEO, right? So because of that, it really has become, there's still very, very technical pieces of SEO, because your website's speed is one of the most critical things that Google is focusing on right now. They say that any website that loads in anything more than 2 seconds is seeing significant decreases in clicks and traffic, not even to start talking about conversions. So speed is huge right now, and Google is really, really pushing that, and that gets very technical.
Okay, so I should be paying attention to speed. So that means keeping your image sizes small.
Yes.
And what else? Compressing different parts of the website. The big thing, those image sizes, right?
The image sizes are really important, and for a non-technical, non-developer person, that's one of the biggest things that you can do to make sure those are
it's digital. Real easy. Yeah, I use a great little tip that I've used for years, even in real estate. There's for Windows users, there's a tool called Photo Resizer. It's a free add-on. Sure. You right-click on the photo, and it appears in the drop-downs, and you can resize it to small, medium, large, or custom. A great tool. As a matter of fact, my good friend Rick Calceda, who is a photographer, just a couple weeks ago was like, I don't have a good tool for resizing images. So I got to tell him about this tool, a photographer, and I was like, wow, I can't believe you didn't know about Photo Resizer. And he loves it. He's like, this is so convenient and everything. And so what image, so I guess the size of the image doesn't really matter in terms of, because it doesn't change the look of the image, but it changes the speed of the website. So resizing them from a high digital image to a small image doesn't hurt your website any.
No. So anytime you have a professional image, it's going to be 300 DPI or higher.
Right.
So when you think about digital, you want to make sure that those images are 72 DPI or lower. Anything much lower than that, and you probably will lose some quality, but that's kind of the goal.
But I've noticed that on the website when I resize the images, I can't tell the difference. They look good enough for the website, and the site loads quicker. And so as I'm putting up images, I'm making sure they are resized. Some I did do on my old website. Keywords, which is one of the boxes on the pages, I'm completely ignoring that. Like you're saying, it's not even comes into play anymore. No. So the things that you need to be most concerned with, I guess, are like the title and the description tags, correct?
Your page titles are still very, very important.
Okay.
So your page titles, if you've got a WordPress website or you're using some type of content management system, there's typically a plugin that you can add. SEO Yoast is a popular one for WordPress specifically, but it'll allow you to change the title without going into the actual code. And that's that title that when you Google something, that it shows up. It shows up
at the top of the bar and everything.
So you want that to be very relevant and relevant for every single page on your website, and including, of course, the keywords that make sense for that content.
Right. But what keywords should you want to compete for? So, for instance, I'm building a business network out of my show, but sites like Business Network, those are going to be tough to compete for. And also, I get confused when I hear about competing for keywords. Shouldn't it be keyword phrases like best business network to join? I don't type in business network if I'm looking for a business network. I type stuff like best business in Tampa, best business network in Tampa, things like that. Shouldn't you focus more on phrases? And how would I know what phrases that I, as just a beginning site, could better compete with? Obviously, I'm not going to go up against the top dogs in the beginning. It's like, an amateur trying to fight, the heavyweight champion of the world in their first fight. How do I know who to compete with in the beginning?
So it's less about who you want to compete with and thinking about how can I put myself and my content that I'm producing in the shoes of the end user, the ideal end user that I want to attract. So creating content as far as blog copy, articles, pages on the website that specifically speak to whatever you want that end user, that information you want to share with them, give with them. So for example, maybe they're not going to search Business Network, but maybe they are going to search events coming up in Tampa Bay this week where I can network or get engaged. And they're typically really long sentences like that these days. So if you create content around that, maybe you have an events portion on your website and you're constantly adding content there. Or maybe you talk about a blog post that has top 5 events to attend this week to network in Tampa Bay. That's the kind of content that provides value and that the search engines are going to think is actually interesting, and it's going to lead to a conversion, because that's the thing too. If someone gets to your website and sees that it is a business networking site, but it's just a whole bunch of information about you and your business, well, guess what? They don't really care. They want to know what you can do for them. So creating content that actually helps them answer the questions that they're Googling is going to give you a lot better results than just thinking about what are my keywords.
And those keywords should appear in the first couple of words in that title tag, in that description tag. It's just the basics of page design. Am I correct?
Yes. So, and then also you want to think about your heading tags. So usually, or if you're working in
those in the page, those are those main titles of the page.
Those main titles and subtitles.
That show up in the page, is correct?
Yes.
I was doing an analysis on my site the other day, and it said I had multiple H1 tags. Is that frowned upon by search engines today? So I'm hearing different things.
You have H1, 2, 3, and 4 tags, right? So with each of those H tags, it basically indicates to search engines as to what information is the most important. So every single page on your website should have one H1 tag, and that's the tag that says this is the title of this page. Then after that, your tag should be, H2, here are the next most important things, H3 if you have sub content there, but you don't want to have more than one.
Okay, so I'm seeing different schools of thought, but again, those H1 tags have to do with on a web page, the main title of this page. It's at the top, but if you've got a bunch of main stuff that's on the page, it confuses Google. It's like, I don't know what this page is about. You're telling me 5 different headers here, and so if it classifies them all as H1, then you're going to lose search engine optimization. So concentrate then on H1. Should I worry so much about Bing also? I know Bing has its own webmaster tools. I'm in there messing with that one too. Should I be worried about Bing?
We run Bing, Yahoo, and Google pay-per-click campaigns on on a regular basis. They're not the heavy hitters,
Right.
obviously. I haven't seen the percentages lately as to who uses what.
I'm one of those oddballs, though, that I use Bing sometimes, too,
Do you?
because I believe that Google's probably hiding some stuff from me, and Bing is going to show me some stuff that Google doesn't want me to see, because they're in competition with each other. So I use them both, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if everybody else thinks like that. I've come to learn over the last couple of years, I think differently than everybody else. But
Well, thinking differently is a good thing, right?
Right.
But from a standpoint of thinking about each individual search engine, as long as you're thinking about your end user, at the end of the day, you're going to see solid results across the search engines.
And so I know Google has the webmaster tools. Bing has a webmaster tool. Does Yahoo also have a webmaster tool? I thought Yahoo and Bing were tied together using the same.
I don't know. I'm sure they do.
I haven't looked into that.
We use Google Analytics as our core tools for our clients,
Yeah.
and their suite of tools. So that's where we focus as far as getting the numbers for our clients.
Yeah. Well, we've got about a minute left. Where do you see Symphony in the next 5 years? And talk to the audience about how you can help them out with their business.
Sure. So our company is quickly growing. We've been very, very blessed. We're one of the only ad agencies in the Tampa Bay area that could also be considered a technology company. So expanding our software capabilities and how we can help our clients integrate their internal systems with their forward-facing systems to make the user experience or the customer experience easier and in the long term better. That's one of the things that we're really focusing on right now.
All right.
So that's how we can help.
All right, great job. Lauren Davenport, CEO of Symphony Agency in St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Jamie. It was a pleasure.
SymphonyAgency.com or 727-343-3970. 727-343-3970, SymphonyAgency.com. And you've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.